Shannon, so good to see
Hi
you.
there.
Tell us how's the weather in San Francisco right now. Make us jealous.
It's a beautiful day in San Francisco. Blue skies and a light breeze.
Wonderful. Hey, for those of us who are here and we may not know too much about Fast Forward, would you give us a quick lowdown of what you guys have been doing in San Francisco?
Sure. We started Fast Forward 9 years ago because we wanted to see better tech applied to our biggest social problems. So we ripped a page out of the Silicon Valley playbook and we launched an accelerator. It's like Y Combinator or Techstars, except exclusively for tech nonprofits. It's been 9 years. We've had 70 teams go through our program, and I'm really pleased to say last year they impacted over 100 million lives.
That's amazing. I think we should give them a big round of applause. The scale is mind-boggling. And together you guys raised 357 million, is that right, on follow-up funding?
Yeah, we did. For these kinds of startups to succeed, philanthropy is an important part of the recipe. We need folks to double down on our seed investment to help these organizations grow and thrive.
Hey, we have investors here, we have donors here, we have philanthropists as well, and government agencies that's looking at innovative ways of funding. Tell us a little bit, for Fast Forward, do the donors, do the philanthropists take on equity stake in this company, or is it pure philanthropy dollar? Would you share with us the model in which you do this accelerator in Fast Forward?
Yes, the organizations that we select, which come from all over the world, have local charity status. So there's no equity to give away. We are increasingly seeing philanthropists use different giving tools like loans out of the corpus of their foundation or other kinds of creative funding methodologies, but it really is all philanthropy.
Nice. Now, hey, for you, um, when Bill was talking about how you guys are good friends, I saw your logo on Blue Ridge Labs, of which I had a chance to visit. Tell me about your journey. How has your journey been from a grantee of sort, or a member of sort of Blue Ridge
Sure.
Labs, starting Fast Forward, and now you are helping them. What made you do what you do? How did you get started, and what led you to start Fast Forward?
Yeah, my background is in social justice organizing. I helped start a prison reform nonprofit in the early 2000s, and then I ran a women's fund, which was actually like an early stage tech nonprofit. We had a PayPal account and a wiki, and that's how we did all of our grant making. Yeah, it seems crazy, especially in 2005. It was bananas to think that you could get thousands of people to give about $100 each, and you could use that money to make meaningful grants to women's groups all over the world. But it worked, and it became the largest network of millennial philanthropists in the world. But it was really hard. Like, we had to learn everything from scratch. I wish there had been programs like Blue Ridge Labs and Fast Forward when we started. We were desperate for connections and context and some money to get our tech product off its ground. So that's why we started Fast Forward. I wanted to see more Khan Academies and Wikipedias, more organizations solving crises in healthcare and education and human rights using the technology that we all have in our pockets.
I like the idea because there's really no money too small. And sometimes when we want to seed, it's the small money that counts, and then it just adds up. And you mentioned that sometimes we wish that there was a Blue Ridge Lab, or we wish it was Fast Forward when we first started. Now, having gone through that journey now, right? You have gone through both at the grantee partner level all the way to now you are an incubator. You are you aggregate investors for them. What are your biggest lessons that you have learned in your own journey? And maybe now at Fast Forward, what are the things that you are seeing that perhaps is slightly different from when you first started, and how excited you are about it?
Sure. I love this question because it opens up the door to all kinds of founders we historically haven't seen previously. One of the key lessons for Fast Forward is that people who have lived experience with the problem should have everything they need to solve the problem. Because as Bill was saying earlier, people who lived and breathed hunger or poverty in various levels, they are not as committed to the way they solve the problem than just solving the problem. And that turns out to be a great trait for a tech entrepreneur. You can't be too precious about the thing that you built, because if it's not working, you have to go in a different direction. So it turns out that those who are proximate to the problems should be empowered to solve them. And we just keep confirming that over and over again at Fast Forward. For the second piece, I feel like we need more philanthropists in this space. People who understand that philanthropy is the ultimate risk capital. The money's been spent, it's not coming back. So why not invest in some of the wicked, hairy, sticky problems we all face? You know, my co-founder, Kevin Barenblatt, was an entrepreneur in residence at a VC in Silicon Valley. And he kept seeing all these really smart founders who built products that were looking for problems. And he got really frustrated because we have a lot of problems that could use better products. So if we could unlock philanthropic capital in a way that tapped into its greatest asset, which is that the money's spent, it's not coming back, we could have real change that is driven by tech.
In the US, we see a lot of funds like this or accelerator like this. I think we are slowly growing in Singapore. We're seeing a lot more social enterprise accelerators. What we are doing with the Lam Soon New Horizon Fund is to build a charity non-profit accelerator with philanthropists willing to take and mitigate risk to a certain extent. What do you think? What do you think in the ecosystem in the US that makes it so compelling for philanthropists to say, hey, you know what, I can de-risk this, I can invest? Is there a secret sauce in the US that, you know what, everybody fail all the time now? You know, is there like a secret sauce in the US that you think it's something that we can learn here in Singapore, that we can say that, hey, you know what, if you build an economy or if you build an ecosystem like this, if these are the stories you tell, you know, the philanthropists or the donors or even government agencies, for example, may be willing to take that kind of risk. What do you think might be those secret sauce for you?
Yeah, I think storytelling can be a powerful agent for movements. So one of the things we invested in very early in Fast Forward was making sure we were telling the stories of our founders everywhere that we could. We got a channel in Forbes and a channel in TechCrunch. We got them on major media platforms. Because if you could make the kinds of founders who start a tech nonprofit highly visible, people would start funding more tech nonprofits. Also, other people would start tech nonprofits. They would launch them because they could see themselves in the model of another person. So I feel like you can't underinvest in storytelling. For better, for worse, one of the reasons I feel like there's more philanthropy in the US is because we have almost no social safety net. So you need the social sector to hold up people. And as a result of that scarcity, people get pretty creative. We are increasingly seeing more tech nonprofits in Asia, in Europe, and throughout Africa. And so I am interested to see in places that have more safety net than we traditionally do here in the States, what they're going to create and what they'll build.
Yeah, I like that, and I think it's exciting if we could really bring all these different pieces together. What you guys are doing in the US, what Francis is doing in Hong Kong, and I know what AVPN has been trying to do, which is pull all these folks together, together with folks like APC, for example. There's this ecosystem that's being built, there's like-minded folks, and I think there's so much experience and so much lessons that we can all share with each other, like how we're actually learning with you now. Hey, I do want to ask you to maybe just give one advice. I mean, we have our grantee partners here who are starting the journey, who are founders. We have people who are working in government currently and say, hey, can I take the leap of faith? Can I, I have this idea, I have this problem I want to solve. And so what would one advice be from you to a founder who wants to get this journey going, just like what you have done together at Blue Ridge Labs?
Sure. So for the budding tech entrepreneurs in the room, we tell people just to launch. We've had folks that started their tech nonprofits with money out of their student loans, or they put the first AWS credits on their credit card. It actually doesn't cost that much money to start a tech nonprofit these days. So if you have an idea that is burning a hole in your pocket and you believe you can solve it, you should just start. The money will come. It turns out money isn't actually the biggest problem for most of our founders. It's identifying who to serve and how best to serve them. So the money will come. For philanthropists, I think it's almost the same advice, that we see profound efficiency and impact at scale. So when you invest in tech, it's a highly leveraged investment. And if you invest in a couple of tech nonprofits, you can spread the risk across the portfolio. And when you do that, you can impact not just a few lives, but millions and millions and millions of lives at a lower cost per unit of impact.